Crystal here, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Leaders Listen Up podcast. I'm your host, and I look forward to being your friend. Each week, I'm going to equip you with new tools and creative techniques to help you design epic customer and employee experiences, allowing you, the leader, to drive loyalty, retention, sales, and deliver award-winning service in your organization. My friend, my leader, we want you to be the people's champion for your team and your customer. In this episode, we're going to unlock the number one secret of exceptional leaders. When we work with small, medium businesses across the globe, whether you're a team of 5 to 7 people or 3 to 500 people, this is the number one struggle leaders are having in today's business world. So if you're ready, leaders, listen up and let's get started. So here's the thing. We often find that leadership within organizations are just not set up for success. Everybody has the best of intentions, but it's sometimes becoming a leader or manager or director is kind of that next step in your career. And so, you might be thinking, okay, well, there's maybe higher pay, there's more accountability, a little more responsibility, but are you really told that your job as a leader is to inspire people and motivate people and create an environment that cultivates success? We often hear this from leaders that, hey, I'm told I'm supposed to do all the day-to-day operations, do all the things on that to-do list and create an environment and motivate, and inspire, but nobody's taught me how to motivate or inspire. Nobody's taught me how to create and cultivate a culture of success because I was just, on the front line. I was just doing my job with the customer, and now I've transitioned into this leadership role because it was the next stage in my career, but I'm not set up for success. And it's more than just training and development on leadership tools, which is always amazing. I'm a trainer, so I love that. But it's also about showing them the skill on how to cultivate these cultures, showing them the skill on how to create environments where people succeed, teaching them how to coach. A leader's often required to coach and has never had any technical formal coaching skills. And so when I look at leadership and I look at what it costs organizations, the lack of not knowing how to lead can cost organizations exponentially. So let's think about that for a second. If you are in a role, and maybe this is you, maybe this is resonating with you, maybe you're an entrepreneur or a leader or a new leader just coming into an organization, maybe you're an executive, it applies to all of you. And so maybe you're in a role where, you're tasked to inspire and motivate. And hey, the company culture, employees are a little less engaged after what we're just coming out of this pandemic. And I need you to motivate your team. And so let's say you don't really know how to motivate your team and you do all the things that you know you need to do and that you think you can do. Maybe you Google a couple things. And so, you do what you think you're capable of doing and what you know you should do. But what you find is that your team starts to not be as productive, not be as motivated. And maybe you'll get, somebody will come up to you and say, hey, you know what, I think I'm looking for another job and I think I'm going to get this one. And if I do, I might be leaving next week. And so then you're like, oh, what did I do wrong? What happened? You might get frustrated at a team member. You might also start noticing some water cooler talk where the culture is cultivating itself by itself. So it's happening by default and not by design, and not in a culture that you're really wanting within your organization. And so you think, okay, well, how am I supposed to change that? What am I supposed to do as a leader? Because it costs us. When we don't know how to lead, it costs us as an individual, as a leader, mentally, physically, spiritually, our family life, this lack of balance, because we're constantly thinking about it. We're constantly on a hamster wheel trying to think of how we can get better. It costs our team members because, think of how they're feeling when they're not feeling led, they're not feeling inspired or motivated. It could cost our customers because if our team members aren't feeling motivated, inspired, then our customers are not going to feel motivated, inspired, and be loyal with us. It could also affect, like from an organizational perspective, think of the cost. We know the cost of losing a trained individual, the cost of hiring a new person and training them and onboarding them. Those are just exponential costs. We know they're in the thousands. And so we really want to make sure that we're giving our leaders the skills because they need to be able to create those environments where people aren't going to leave. They're going to be loyal. And if they do leave, they give you 6 months notice. They give you 3 months notice. And they maybe even have a candidate list of somebody who's going to step into their role. So when I look at highly successful organizations and their leadership teams versus organizations that are struggling, their leaders are struggling, the numbers are struggling, all the KPIs might be having a bit of a struggle. There's one common difference. It's that the leaders are set up for success. The leaders are very clear on their vision, their mission, their core values, and their brand promise. And they're so clear that they're easily able to communicate them to the frontline team. Because when your frontline team is confident and has clarity, they can create some consistency in your customer experience and in the culture that's happening behind the scenes. Right? We all know that happy team members create happy customers. And so a leader's role is to really make sure that we're super clear on that vision, mission, core values, and brand promise, but we're also really good at making sure that our team knows how to practice the vision, the mission, the core values, and the brand promise, because they need to know what it's, okay, so we've got this great big vision statement on our website or on the walls. How do we do that? Right? How do we create that inspiration? How do we execute that? So for example, I'll give you the Nike's vision statement here: to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Your vision statement is that inspiring, that motivating, that really, really fantastic dream, that big, hairy, audacious goal. It's what ultimate success would look like. So if you close your eyes, if you're a small business and you close your eyes and you think, what would the most amazing success look like? Maybe it's winning some type of award. Maybe it's giving back to your community and building a building. Maybe it's, the most amazing raving fan reviews. Maybe it's a product that's like #1 in the world or on the shelves of one of the biggest retailers in the world, right? Whatever that ultimate success might look like for you, that's your vision. That's your vision. Maybe it's taking your product from selling it locally to selling it across the globe. There's just so many things when we think about that ultimate success. Every business is going to be unique. And so think about what ultimate success would look like, and that's your vision statement. Here's the thing with the vision statement, though. It also has to really align to your personal values. It should excite you and motivate you and inspire you to do bigger things. And so when as leaders, we have to be able to share this with our team, and our team has to really connect with it on a personal level. So I'll give you just a high level kind of funny example here. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but sometimes I'm a meat eater. I love a good steak. And I'll go to a steakhouse and I'll order a steak and I'll say, what's your favorite thing on the menu? That's kind of my go-to. I always ask the server, what's your favorite thing on the menu? And this has happened to me more than once, where the server will say, well, I'm actually vegetarian. I actually don't eat meat. And that's fine. I have a lot of friends and family, vegetarian, vegan. But I want you to think about that. The vision of the organization, so let's say it's a steakhouse, the vision, the mission, the core value, they're revolve around meat, right? They revolve around making sure that a customer's having a great experience, great dining experience, but their #1 product that they're selling is meat. And if your core values and your belief, your personal traits don't align with that, then I don't know that it's a great fit. Right? It might not necessarily be that great fit because your personal values don't even align. And so I want you to think about that. Maybe when you're looking at the organizations, if you're a leader right now, create some clarity on that for your team. Do their personal visions align with your organization vision? So let's look at a mission statement, for example. And so a mission statement is a little bit different. And this is where we want to make sure that they're not grouped together. Our mission statement defines our purpose as a business and really why you exist, those day-to-day things that you need to do to be clear and concise and something that's actionable day-to-day. So we'll go back to Nike. So Nike's mission statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. If you have a body, you are an athlete. And so their mission is to make sure everybody is an athlete, right? That they can serve you with innovation and inspiration, to be able to make sure that whether you have a disability, whether you are in a wheelchair, whether you're the most amazing athlete in the world and highly, successful already, you are somebody we want to inspire and innovate for, right? And so just giving that some thought is, what is your mission statement? What is that thing that you're doing every single day that allows you to really live out your mission? We'll dive into core values. Core values is probably one of my favorites because it's easy to implement and action, but it's hard to do consistently. So for example, core values is a practice of beliefs. So it's really not a practice, sorry, a principles of beliefs that guide your business. And so they allow you to make decisions based on those core values. So again, we'll go to Nike for a moment. They make decisions based on authenticity, sustainability, diversity and inclusion, and innovation. Those are the principles and the belief system that they have, that in every way, in every customer that they're serving, and every employee that they're serving, they use those core values as their guiding light, their way to make decisions. And so if your team, for example, if authenticity or sustainability is one of your core values, or diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, prevalent in today's business world, what does that look like? In your marketing material, are you being diverse and inclusive? Are you creating belonging for people? In your product delivery, so maybe you've been designing a product for several years and it works, but then you think of, okay, well, so how would somebody with this disability use our product or service? Would it be the same? Is it something we should adjust, or does it not work for them, right? And so we want to be able to really practice those core values consistently. All right, the last one I want to share with you is brand promise. And a brand promise is really that value of experience that the customers put towards your brand. And so the brand promise is, when the organization is doing business with a customer, how are they feeling, right? It's a lot about that customer experience. What do they say when you're not there? Do they feel like you lived out that promise, that you made a promise to provide them with the most amazing product or service, or with a high level of customer service, or with a high level of innovation? And do they feel like you've met that? Right? And so let's look at Nike again. To bring innovation and inspiration to every athlete in the world. That is their brand promise, is that they're going to do it to every athlete in the world. And if you looked at their mission, remember we just talked about the mission. If you have a body, you're an athlete. Right? So whether it's your team members or whether it's their customers, if you have a body, you're an athlete. But when it comes to their brand promise, is to bring innovation and inspiration to every athlete in the world. Right? And so they're very clear on this. Their slogan is just do it, but their vision, mission, and core values are so much deeper. They're very aspirational. All right, so let's take a look. We're looking at leadership here, and that number one secret between amazing organizations and organizations that are having some struggles with their leadership. And so one of the tools is, of course, getting clear on your vision, mission, core values. And I would suggest perhaps having a bit of a innovation session or an ideation session, where if you haven't really gone back and visited your vision, mission, core values, and brand promise pre-pandemic, it's time. Right? It's time. We don't want you to lag behind. Take a look, involve your team, and really, does it still resonate? If it does, fantastic. And if it doesn't, tweak it. It's time to tweak. But while you're having that ideation session and conversation with your entire team, I encourage every level of the organization to be involved in this. While you're having that, I also want you to be able to think of it from a perspective of, what is that customer feeling like, and what is that customer journey like? So that customer journey will allow you to kind of understand from an emotional level how that customer is feeling as they're going through your vision, mission, core values, as they're experiencing them firsthand. We'll do another episode on customer journey because it's one of my most passionate topics. But just keeping that lens open. If you maybe haven't looked at your customer journey since the pandemic, does your vision, mission, core values, and brand promise still align with what you're trying to deliver to your customer? The other thing is, we want to create that clarity and confidence for our team, right? So we want to to be able to make sure that they know how to practice this. So in this ideation session, a great way to be able to look at the tactical things is, get some flip charts up on the paper, or maybe it's in a virtual session, get some flip charts up on the wall, or maybe it's in a virtual session. But like if one of your core values is diversity, equity, and inclusion, then get your team to jot down, what does practicing this look like? You as a leader don't create it and give it to them. Get them to tell you, what does practicing this look like? Maybe one of your core values is integrity. And so get them to jot down, what does integrity look like? Well, it means, stepping up when I made a mistake, admitting I made a mistake, or, my communication when I make a mistake, or letting the customer know, being transparent, having a plan for when things go wrong. Right. So allow them to jot down those vision, mission, core values, but allow your team to document what practicing that looks like. Right? Allow them to see what practicing that looks like. And then you can use that practice, you can use those as measurement tools. And so that's what these great organizations do. The leadership team, everything goes right back to, hey, that aligned with our core value. That aligned with our mission statement. That aligned with our brand promise. Kudos, congratulations. Maybe they're paying bonus even on that. But just a kudos and congratulations goes such a long way at building your company culture. All right, the last tool I want to share when it comes to being a really great leader and being set up for success and being an organization that's thriving is to have a candidate list. So one of the biggest struggles we see is organizations don't have, the right team. And so leaders are struggling with that. How do I keep a team happy? How do I keep them motivated? How do I keep them inspired? And it goes back to the root of hiring the right people. And so there's a tool that I actually learned, I was probably 19 or 20 years old. And my mentor at the time, her name is Brenda Brown. Hey, Brenda, if you're watching, thank you. And Brenda taught me about a tool called a candidate list in the retail environment at the time. And it's a super, super simple tool. Every week at my coaching meetings, and we had every weekly coaching meeting, she would say, I need you to bring at least one, but up to about 3. If there's more, great. But, 1 to 3 candidates on this list. And this wasn't because we were hiring every week or all the time, but it was because we wanted to develop relationships and attract top talent to us, as opposed to having to go out and get talent. And so, I brought this list to her every week. And sometimes there's one name, sometimes there's multiple names. And she asked, why? Why did you pick that person, Crystal? What was it about them? And I would share my why. And so she would agree or perhaps challenge me a little bit, but we'd have a really good dialogue on the fact that, okay, so this is, let's say it's January. So, in a certain period of time, let's say March or April, we're really going to need team members. Would this be the right environment for them? How can we make sure that our environment is what they need? What's important to that person on that candidate list? So it might be like, well, the hours are really important to her, or the flexibility and scheduling might be important, or vacation might be important, or working commission, so they had their ability to earn what they were worth. Maybe that was important to them. Whatever was important. Maybe they were just highly fashionable and loved the fashion environment and wanted to be a part of it. What was important to them was what we wanted to look inwards. We wanted to look at our culture. Well, do we support that? Is that the right organization for this person? And if it is, then let's start nurturing that. Let's start having a conversation. Let's start inspiring her to come to us when she's ready. And what that allowed us to do what they allowed the leadership team to do, but also me, because I really felt like I was a leader and I was a frontline team member, but I felt like I was a leader because we were leading our customers and we were leading our team members, because we were able to choose our team. We were able to choose the people that we wanted in our environment. So the culture was fantastic. But what it allowed us to do was to have a bench of top talent. So we weren't struggling with hiring, a warm body to fill the schedule. We always had a bench of people that were ready, willing, and able. We already knew their schedule. We already knew what type of wage they were looking for. We already knew so much about them, because over the months, maybe Brenda would have a coffee with them, or I would have a coffee with them, or we would start developing a relationship. So it went from, just hard recruiting and saying, hey, come and apply, to them saying, oh, I can't wait to work. When are you hiring next? And that was a really great skill for leaders that I take with me now to my organizations that we work with. Same concept, a little bit tweaked for our digital world, but same idea is making sure that your team is picking the people to be able to create a really great culture, because it makes your job as a leader that much easier when you have to motivate, inspire, and create a culture of success. So that is the biggest differentiator between those organizations that are doing it well and those that are struggling, is there's that lack of clarity and confidence on your vision, your mission, your core values. And because there's that lack of clarity and confidence and consistency, that leads to, this culture that can sometimes be a little bit toxic, this culture that you're losing people, and this culture that's really not creating the dynamic environments that you want and that you're thriving for. So in summary, my friends, having that clear vision, mission, and set of core values and really that brand promise for your small, medium business, and getting uber clear on it is not just something that is nice to have, but it's a non-negotiable in today's business world. That is what's going to set up. This is the number one secret for leaders to be outstanding in the service and the leadership that they give others. So take the time to develop your vision, your mission, your brand promise, and your core values. Take the time to work through it, tweak it, adjust it, and make sure it resonates for you today. My friend, leaders, thank you so much for joining us on the Leaders Listen Up podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. And hey, if you've got questions or comments, I would be delighted to chat. I look forward to seeing you next time.